Many agents fall victim to the trap of having to rely on buying things like Zillow Leads, but that's a very detrimental way to approach your real estate business when looking long term, especially knowing that these platforms actually have a goal of removing the realtor from the process of buying and selling homes. So what I'm doing today is I'm bringing on top producing icon agent Jeremy Kane from Denver, who is going to talk to you about how he's built a massive top producing business without having to buy leads. We're going to be diving into his exact strategy of his over 120 touch points per year, making it incredibly easy to nurture your sphere, especially leveraging video. The strategies in this are going to be incredible because anybody can do it. And even though it sounds like a lot, it's actually incredibly simple for anybody to do. And you'll be shocked at how much business comes from repeat and referral by following these exact strategies. Now, before introducing Jeremy, I just want to mention two quick things. Number one, Jeremy has an incredible YouTube channel showing realtors how to scale their business. Is picking up a lot of traction. So please make sure you go check out his channel. I'll link it in the pinned comment and the description below. It's a complete wealth of knowledge. It's going to give you the tools, tricks, and strategies in order to leverage your sphere properly and build a top producing business without having to rely on paid leads. And also, if you want to book a call with Jeremy to talk about partnering with him to get his direct help and mentorship on how to actually do over 50 deals a year entirely from your sphere, then click the link below and you'll be able to book a call with him. So without further ado, let's introduce Jeremy and talk to you about how to build a massive top producing real estate business without having to pay for leads. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today we've got on an incredibly special guest and a really good friend of mine, Jeremy Kane from Denver, Colorado. And what we're going to be doing today is talking about a very timely subject here, which is the concept of not just leveraging your sphere and being able to get repeat and referral business in order to prove that you're going to scale your business every year, but also more importantly, what's going on with Zillow and why it's going to be detrimental if agents don't learn how to build their business in the way that Jeremy is. So we're going to be breaking down his entire process for nurturing his sphere. And the really cool thing that I like about what Jeremy does is he's taken a modern approach to it, where it's not just calling your database and saying, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell? He's got a really innovative approach that intertwines video with it. And I think this is going to be something that all of you can easily follow. So Jeremy, what's going on, man?
What's up, Mike? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. You've, obviously as a top producer for multiple years, doing well over 50 transactions every year, and the majority of that, over half, coming from repeat and referral. You've been able to build a really substantial business that's also very profitable. And I think the profitability aspect of it is going to be important as we go through this conversation, because there's a lot of people that can do, maybe 50 deals, but when they're using things like Zillow Flex, when they are always relying on buying leads, that profit margin becomes pretty small, and yours is quite substantial. So before we kind of get into the nitty gritty, why don't you just give yourself just a quick introduction, and then we'll dive straight into the tactical strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Been in real estate 9 years, been, top 5% for almost all of those 9 years. Now we're top 1%, broke into the top 200 this month in the Denver market. So that's been a long journey. And my dad's been in real estate. He was my managing broker for a long time till I joined the Wolfpack over at EXP. And that's completely changed the whole mindset of my business. The leadership that you guys provide has just taken it kind of next level. And here I am, 15 days into 75 hard, something that I never thought I would have ever even attempted. And not only that, but doing it in the summer months where it's usually, party time, patios, and it's just really allowed me to focus in on my business. And one thing that I've always stood by is not buying, especially Zillow leads. And the reason that I was doing that, and the reason that I stood by that, is because I knew this day would come. Their ultimate goal is to eliminate the real estate agent, and they're changing things on a dime, completely changing people's businesses. And I want to be here to help. I'm a coach at heart. And so I think that I have a program that will really help those people that got the rug pulled out from under them in Premier Agent, or those new agents that, are thinking or, joining those teams that have access to this flex model in certain areas. It's only in a couple of markets right now, but it's going nationwide. So super excited to kind of share that with everybody and dive in.
Yeah, I think it's important because, we talk about this a lot, is Most agents don't know how to get their own business. And that becomes very dangerous when you're reliant on third party platforms and systems and companies that are constantly changing. And their end goal is to get rid of the, people that are buying their leads. It's a really dangerous way to establish and build your real estate business, and not developing these skill sets and not knowing how to nurture your database or acquire customers or actually convert cold leads that you were able to generate yourself. Those are skills that are inherently necessary for agents to properly understand in order to build a business. So maybe you want to dive in a little bit about what's going on here. And we kind of talked about what happens with agents, calling us, looking to partner with us because they're getting, 25% of their commission once you bring in the split fees for the team. And then you also Zillow Flex. Why don't you dive into kind of what's happening? And then we can start going into your strategy of how you've been able to kind of avoid getting sucked into the system.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happening is in some major markets, only a few so far, Zillow's changing their platform from a premier agent, kind of pay to play, to a success fee. And with that said, they're not holding on or picking up those agents that have been paying tens of thousands of dollars over the last 10 years. They're taking the top 20 teams in each market and they're partnering with them. In fact, people in our Colorado organization, even, they've been on Zillow and they kind of interviewed for the Flex program and they didn't get it because we don't have a team structure. We have more of a collaboration structure. We don't want to take anybody else's money for selling their mom's house. Is kind of our team and our model's vision. So with that said, they denied the group that was using Zillow as a premier agent in our market, in our group. And so they're going to these big hitter teams and they're saying, oh, well, we had 450 premier agents and we're only going down to 20 teams. Well, newsflash, they're going to the teams that are, 20 to 50 to 100 people. So in fact, they're reducing the market share because the one team that I've talked to that I know for sure, they have 30 agents, right? And they're kind of the smaller end of the groups that Zillow's going after for this Flex program. So when you add, even if you add 20 or multiply 20 by 30, 20 teams of 30 people, that's 600 agents. Therefore, the 450 is increased. So your leads action goes down and the lead spend actually goes up when it's converted if they're taking 30% of our commission in our appreciating market.
Yeah, it's difficult because again, I see a lot of agents that, join a team and they're putting in all this work and they're driving around and after the team takes 50% and maybe the brokerage takes a little bit more and then Zillow takes, more, you have a $10,000 commission, you're left with, $1,500. It's really incredible to see what's happening here and why it's a dangerous way to scale and become dependent, because what I see, especially, having the social media training that I have that shows agents how to actually get their own business. One of the things I see, and you and I have talked about this behind the scenes, is agents that are, reliant and living off the IV of Zillow leads. Well, once they leave, they don't know how to build their business. So what happens is they'll go do 30, 40 deals in their first 2 years as a real estate agent, think that they've got it made and that they're going to crush it as a solo agent. They're sick and tired of giving the split to other people. Well, then they go become a solo agent, but they didn't develop the skills to actually build their own brand, generate their own leads, nurture their own clients, leverage their database, and then they go backwards. And then it mentally destroys them because they're so used to increasing the business every year to the point where now they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. Do I go back to a team? Can I not do it? You start to doubt yourself. And it's really dangerous because people become reliant on these leads and the structure of it, but they don't realize that by doing it that way, you're ignoring all of the skill sets you need in order to become a strong solo agent without that team structure, right?
Yeah. And I kind of see that, what you just explained to me kind of came to me as, that's a normal 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
We're not realtors to be in a normal 9 to 5 here. We are absolutely dedicated to, scaling from an entrepreneurial mindset to, financial freedom is the end goal, right? And so, there's all kinds of different real estate models that suppress financial freedom, in my opinion. But with this Zillow thing, if you're going back and forth to teams, that's the system that I've developed. Okay, let's capitalize on your past successes. We have a campaign, we have a system, we plug you into the system, and you're capitalizing on your old Zillow leads and that you've converted. those are now home sellers and buyers double into transactions. And all of a sudden you're making $40,000 in a day versus $40,000 in a year. And
Yeah.
so that's the kind of the goal behind my mission. And it's interesting because I've always been that guy. When I joined, Louis Galt, my business partner, he was a Zillow guy, pay to play guy. And actually right before Zillow flexed out of their premier agent into Flex, no pun intended there, he gave it up. And so it was kind of my goal. He was kind of my buddy, I wouldn't say a test subject, but when I started talking to him about why, and he really started building his business, he's built a system. So together we put together a system that will allow all agents to do what he did, even though he did it out of, desire instead of necessity. And I think that's huge. And I also think an important thing to consider is our market is changing a little bit, not as crazy as a lot of the national markets and world markets that we're talking about here in Denver, but it is changing. It's dialing in a little bit. And so a lot of these teams things that have been buying, groups that have been buying leads for, 10 years, it's been a cake market for 10 years. I'm here to tell you, I've been in 9 years and it's been fairly easy to scale a business and do what we have to do. And if you're relying on Zillow and then that's gone, the market's going to change a little bit for Zillow Leads in general too, not just because of their program changing, just, as we see this market change more.
Definitely. No, and I'd love to dive into that because, if we've talked to endless amounts of top producers, and the one common theme for all of them is that they all leverage their sphere. They all generate the majority of their business, the repeat referral. And that's a consistency across 100% of top producing agents. And the funny part is you look at all the agents that are low producers or average producers are struggling, and they're the ones that are somehow not leveraging their sphere. So why don't we dive into this? Because you've got a really cool strategy and you've got a pretty insane amount of touch points, but you're able to do it efficiently by leveraging modern strategies with video and stuff like that. So why don't we break down what that looks like for you on an annual basis in terms of nurturing and being able to generate all of these repeat and referral clients?
Yeah. And, it started kind of as the old gurus writing books and things like that. They wanted, 40 to 50 touch points per year per client. And I'm here to tell you that we're a little more distracted these days. We have a little more technology at our fingertips from a consumer perspective. So what I've done is I started first by just getting on video, and this helped me get on the video and get comfortable with video is just press live, like go live on Facebook. Once you're live, you can't go back. You don't have that, oh, should I listen to myself? Should I watch it? Should I edit it? There's nothing. Like once you press record, it's out there. And so it becomes more conversational, more comfortable. And over the last 2 years, I've done a live every single Wednesday, except for one when I was on a houseboat completely out of service. And that absolutely has changed my trajectory. And it's kind of interesting because on Facebook Live, the engagement's not quite as crazy right up front. But it's obviously evergreen, it's continuing. And I can't tell you how many times more my phone rang on Wednesdays than any other day after I did this live. Or I'm talking to someone and they reference, I was just at my neighbor's house the other night and they did a huge remodel and they're like, yeah, we would have never thought to leverage our equity and refinance when the rates were low, because what it did was lower their payment considerably. They got, $100,000 or $200,000 out, put it all into their house. And now they have the, crown jewel of the neighborhood completely redone. And he said in front of all of the neighbors, he's like, I would have never thought about it if I didn't watch your Why Invest Wednesday video when the rates were low. And so it's kind of cool to see that come to fruition. And a lot of people are all about clicks and subscribes and likes and comments. And that's great. And engagement does help. So please engage with your favorite business partners' posts. But it's so evergreen and it's different. Like people are very personal, especially when it comes to real estate, I think. So they're not going to always comment. They're not going to always do that. But when they do, it's great. But even still, like outside of that, the person-to-person comments that I get are absolutely insane. So couple that with, so 52 touches a year on video. And that's across all channels. I do Instagram, Facebook, and then I post it to YouTube later. And So that's 52 touches and across all channels. I mean, I know very few people that aren't at least on one of those, if not all of them. So that's 52 touches. And then I do a weekly email as well. That's 52 touches. It also leverages back into that video. So it seems like it's a lot of touches, but literally it's posting a link, changing a quote, updating a couple things and sending the email out. It looks different. It is different because there's a different subject in the video every single week. And so right there, that's 104 touches, which blows, some of the gurus 40 to 50 from 10 years ago out of the water. And then you add in some of the traditional stuff where, I send out sports schedules for the Broncos and Rockies for my local market. I do, some buy one, get one free things with a company called Boomerang, and all that's pretty automated. So here we are with, 104 plus 12. And then I kind of do a quarterly call. An annual review is one that's huge and a huge piece to that. And I can speak to that at some point. But that's just a touch point with past buyer clients that kind of goes through their entire financial situation as it pertains to their home, which is usually their largest asset. And then we do a client event and a couple other things. But that's, after it's all said and done, we have 125 to 135 touches per year. And it's a lot of work to get it set up and going. But for the most part, it's fairly automated. Add them to KV Core, and then they kind of go into the email server. And then you find them on Facebook, you kind of follow them. That's super important piece of it is up front. You just find them in all the socials, tell them to follow you. And that's where you guarantee those touches.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, two things that I think people are really going to take interest in is, those Wednesday videos, which I've seen, every single week. And then also the annual review, because that's what I did that usually got me at the majority of my clients in the beginning of the year. Do you want to kind of just take a second to break down, what you're including in those Wednesday videos, what kind of subjects you're talking on, so people have a general idea of, what they might be able to do for their market. And then, kind of a little bit more context on the annual review strategy, because this is super powerful and it's leading with value, but still converts extremely high.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's start with the weekly videos. And, it's all about leveraging your industry partners, to be honest with you. Boots on the ground, just real life perspective. What's going on? Hey, I had a client this week. Everyone says the market's slowing down. Well, we were up against 13 offers on one townhome, 10 offers on another. And, so the market's not slowing down. One place had 79 showings and 13 offers in a slowing market. Okay. So that tells you right there that Denver's a little bit different. So everything that everybody reports on, from the local news channel to everything you see on Facebook and, all of that, we have all sorts of news at the tip of our fingertips. So that's what it's hard, because everyone's taking a national perspective and talking about it, and real estate's hyper local. So the first thing is leverage your industry partners that are in it. I have great lending partners, one in which who's one of the smartest economic, gurus that I know. And so I started leveraging her content. She provides classes and things, and I became a student. I wanted to know exactly what was going on here. I was sick of my friends telling me, oh, it's a huge real estate bubble, it's going to burst, and not having real life situation, statistics that I can throw out there that are legit, that they have no idea, right? Because it's just a general, the real estate market's going to crash. You're doing so well because it's crazy, whatever. And that's how I take it. I take it personally. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to find out. I'm going to learn. I'm going to have the statistics to back it up. So finding that person in your market that has that, kind of pulse or finger on the pulse of the market is huge. And it doesn't have to be insane. I happen to be lucky enough to have an insane, contact. But so that's the first thing. And then just give it real life perspective. What's going on? Go see some houses. Even if you don't have clients, go preview some houses, go to some open houses and figure out what's going on in your market, real life, because the news is going to report on it in 2 weeks once they find people that are, have doomsday perspective, and then they're going to blast it out everywhere. So that's the first part that I do. And then I've tried different things. I've even incorporated some of my love for sports into that, some local sports stuff, just really making it hyper local. Every once in a while, I do a lot more topics now than I used to. So top 5 things to do in, Colorado this summer, things like that, more local, Denver, the cities that I live in. And that kind of helps generate some more touches, because not everyone can sit and listen to a talking head talk all this crazy market stuff. And frankly, no one cares. Most of the people call me and just say, hey, Jeremy, tell me what's going on, with my situation. So that I've kind of been able to incorporate it all with a little bit of market information, with a little bit of item of value, spring cleaning tips, like whatever. The list goes on and on and on of things that you can do to provide value. So it's kind of grown over the time. But every single week, even if I don't have a topic lined up, it's get on, press play, talk about the market, talk about what I'm seeing, and going from there. And then, that's how I got started with Why Invest Wednesday, for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And then the annual reviews too. Let's dive into that for a sec.
Yep. So annual reviews, I was at a training actually with that same lender that I'm speaking of. She brought a guest in, and they just talked about the client experience. And from that point on, I was like, I'm going to make this the ultimate experience. How do I differentiate myself from a computer? Because that's what Zillow's trying to do, is turn transactions into automation. And what can I do to differentiate myself from the people that I compete with in my market? And so I, put together an entire client experience. I wanted the ultimate experience. I wanted, boots on the ground, whether that's leveraging transaction coordinators and things of that nature. And so that's kind of built. And one thing that he said there was talking about just the financial, universal financial piece of the home, and how it's the biggest investment you've ever had. And we just kind of leave it out there. We send out a CMA every once in a while if we want listings, but it's not about that client, right? And so each year on the home anniversary, I send a little gift now, because I've taken it next level there. But it's a phone call. It's simple. I can pull up, comps for their address. I know their address because they bought a house. And then I talk to them about it. And so what this does, and they're like, a lot of times people are like, no, I'm good, I'm not moving. And it's not about getting them to be a client. They're already a client. It's just keeping them in the know. There's so much stuff that goes into our mortgage payment and changing insurance, right? All of that stuff matters right now. We had a huge fire here in Colorado last fall, I believe, or winter maybe even. And a lot of people were underinsured. So what if it's just like, hey, your home value's gone up 50%. You might want to raise your hand and call your insurance agent and make sure you're fully insured, right? Or, hey, even going back to that refinance point, like you could what do you need to do? You want to update your kitchen? You want to update your bathrooms? You want to update your backyard? Whatever it is, do we have equity? Does it make sense with where the rates are to refinance or get that mortgage insurance off of your? So there's so many different conversations that you can have just by checking in with your clients that you already have. Yeah. So when we have that, and you can do it all sorts of ways, especially now, everyone is so comfortable with Zoom and that kind of stuff. You can get that face-to-face touch. I like the belly-to-belly if we can get it. Obviously, everyone's pretty busy, but it's so much more than just, hey, here's how much your house is worth. They can look that up on any website they want, right? It may not be 100% accurate, but it's close enough for them just to kind of understand that they're gaining equity. And so that's where, it doesn't have to be a huge CMA. You pull up the comps and say, hey, did you see that house down the street sold for, $800,000 and you bought 2 years ago for 560? Just pointing that out and then educating them on real estate, because they know people that are still renting. They know people, they have kids, whatever that may be. And you kind of go from that. Like, I have a great financial advisor friend, one of the top guys in Northwestern Mutual, and he's done it in a short amount of time. And he's like, give me 3 people that that might be interested, that might benefit from me, and they're directly asking. If you can just kind of provide value, build that relationship, everyone hears about real estate, right? When real estate's on the mind, you hear it at restaurants, you hear it everywhere. So if you can kind of teach them over time, after you've built that relationship and provided tremendous value, to be a fan of yours and say, hey, call Jeremy. He's more than just, he's more than just a couple of clicks on a computer and showing you a house, because it's leveraging that huge asset that, if we talk about our, investment portfolios that are maybe a quarter of what our homes actually were. Why can't we talk about, our home with an expert, and drive that home?
Of course. No, you and you guys are doing a ton of incredible stuff there locally in Denver. And I think that's going to be kind of a cool way to bring this full circle is, going forward, you and Louis, you guys have a really cool community. You've got a cool culture and a very collaborative organization there. Why don't you just talk about for a second, what that vision looks like as you guys continue to scale, because you guys both have very good, very strong kind of niches where you're incredible with your sphere, repeat referral. Louis is really system based and processes, but culturally, you guys do a lot of cool things locally. So why don't you kind of talk about what that transition was like and why you made the decision to come here, and then also what that plan looks like for the agents that are partnering with you going forward to be able to get out of the IV system of Zillow Leads and be able to build their own business with their own brand that is scalable and predictable going forward.
Absolutely. And this kind of lends back to my never go to Zillow kind of thing, right? Like I thought about starting a team. I was a super successful agent. I could share my knowledge. I loved coaching. Like it made sense, right? I'm a coach at heart. Why don't you have a team? Yeah. Well, I couldn't wrap my hands around a team split, right? And I came from a transaction brokerage where, the fees were low and all that stuff. And even still, I couldn't be like, hey, if I, give you this, give me 25 or 50% of your commission. Just didn't make sense if I provide this value. So coming to EXP and joining the Colorado Wolfpack under you, of course, was huge for me because it's not a team, it's not a collaboration, or it's more of a collaboration than a team. And so as we build, we want to give the tools to people, and mind you, in our own market right now. As we expand further, we're looking to get into other markets and give you a template to build out a collaboration yourself. But the fact that we can come together, truly mastermind, right? And we are in competition, but it doesn't feel like it. We're coming together. We do, monthly events where it's, a happy hour, go-karts, all kinds of fun stuff. And we can kind of mastermind that piece from a professional level, help each other out when we go out of town, kind of have that team backup kind of mentality, but we're not sharing any of our money, and that's the beauty of the EXP model. Is the way it's built is we do get a little bit of money from each transaction that someone closes, but it's coming from EXP's dollar, not your dollar. So it's not, cutting into this 50, 60, 70, all of a sudden, if you're at a team, you could be getting 25% of your $10,000 commission. And so that's $2,500, which isn't even poverty level, right? If you do one transaction a month, which a lot of people wish they could do, it's very difficult to scale and build your business. And then you come relying on that and not build your brand. So we're able to, everyone can kind of build their own brand. We help with that. You're obviously the expert in that category. But it's, as a group in Colorado, we're coming together. And then kind of the next level is, come together for client appreciation events where we can put all of our money together. Everyone's cool. We know that no one's hunting for our clients, have great, a marquee attraction for our clients to come see. And so we'll start this summer with, barbecues and kids in the park and bounce houses and, stuff that we can do. Ultimately, we want to rent out Coors Field for an Easter egg hunt, that kind of stuff, so that people will travel from all around. And then from an agent perspective, if you want to build an organization in another market, we're going to partner alongside you. Louis and I both are very involved and give you the template to build it out and build it out for you. And then that's kind of the next level for our success, is taking it from Colorado, which we have a great organization we're continuing to build and growing, to other markets across the country. And so that we can be, a truly an elite group that is providing not only a great experience for all the clients and sharing up all of our tricks, but also a great experience for all the agents. And so that provides retention and just the family feel, which, is amazing for you already on a national level. So if we can add that, come alongside and be really boots on the ground with you in your market to build that organization, that's the key. Because when I joined EXP, that was the difference, right? I have, family members, I have all kinds of people in EXP, and the culture was different at the Wolfpack. So I chose to start here. obviously with my interest in video, you're the guy. And now we've become great friends. So it's kind of a cool full circle, you know, kind of event, but that's ultimately what I want to do. And that allows me to coach my clients and continue to build my business, allows me to coach new agents, and allows me to coach team leaders as we kind of add layers upon layers, which is ultimately my passion, help people be financially free through real estate and not just the client, right?
Yep.
I want the agent, I want the team leader, I want the broker, I want everybody to be financially free that I can possibly help do that.
Exactly. And that's, you know, it's the mission that we're on is to help get as many people over the hump and build the lifestyle, the dreams that they want. But I think it's really cool because as you're kind of talking about, all of us bring these different skill sets to the table, and just based on the, you know, leveraging this model as the vehicle and the catalyst to share that for free with every person that decides to partner with us. It's been incredible to see how many people already have joined us and completely cut their Zillow spend and actually increase their production and drastically increase their profit margin. So I absolutely love this. And I think this is going to be a very timely and powerful topic that people really need to think about as you're going into kind of this next chapter of whatever the market might turn into, or even just whatever your business might look like. If you want to scale, you're going to start to have to develop these skills and approach things differently. So as always, guys, I'm going to make sure that I link all of Jeremy's channels, all of his profiles, as well as a link to book a meeting with him if you'd like to learn more about his incredible systems that you could plug into, you could partner with and duplicate in your market in order to build, again, a wildly profitable, top producing business. So Jeremy, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. And guys, make sure you check him out. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me, man.